All right, let's do it live on a Thursday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily Beerly Bow. The Great Z. How you living, buddy?
Dude, it's great to be with you. It's starting to bring me sadness that we will be separated, as I will be separated from Miss K, from my kids, from all of it in a few days. I am excited for the fact that the season's starting. Because, really...
Well, the season isn't starting.
Well, this is the start of the season. This isn't off season anymore.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. I can't push back on that.
So I'm excited for that because I think we can be a team of consequence. And quite frankly, I want to find out. And the only way to find out is to play these games. So that's what I'm looking forward to. But, I also think it'd be nice to just be watching the Open Championship in peace right now.
I agree.
Yeah. I'm going to be flying at prime Open watching time.
You are. Yeah, Saturday.
There's nothing better than waking up.
It was so lovely today. There was a different. So they're off and running.
Yeah.
Those out early crushed it, and then it feels like it's evened out a little bit here in what is their afternoon.
Yes. Can I tell you this? A couple things. Number
Please.
one,
I'd love to.
We need to find a way to bring Peter Alice back to us because I miss him on the broadcast tremendously. Number two, there is no tournament that does cooler little random video packages than the Open. Of
course not.
All of them are so good.
Now, is that – let me just run this because there's various different people that have produced those things through the years. Some of it's BBC, used to be ESPN had this, and now it's NBC. Is it that the Open produces these incredible vignettes, or is it that we think they're cooler because 99% of the time they're voiced by someone with a British accent or a Scottish accent? And therefore, it feels like it's kind of like the theory that if you ever need to do an accent in Hollywood of a country that is you can't do the accent for, you just do a British accent because it adds legitimacy.
Yeah, I think that's a part of it. I think the other part of it is that it's such old footage, like seeing Bobby Jones go there and say, "Hey, if I win, can I have this jack?" Did you see that one today?
No, I missed that one.
So they're telling the story of what's up, all the people.
Oh my gosh, look at all these humans. What's he saying?
Happy birthday?
Oh, my
Alf,
gosh.
happy birthday. Yay.
Great job. Great job.
Yay.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Fantastic. The junior luminaries.
Yeah, they are the JLs.
Yeah, JLs.
They could be the RHLs, the right-hand luminaries.
I like that. RHL.
Yeah.
I'm going to write that down.
Right here. Sometimes you give this symbol. Maybe that's all they have to do.
Maybe that's all we do now. Yeah. We just go like this.
And hopefully they'll come over.
I like that. RHLs.
All right. So
you were saying. The vignettes.
So the one they did about Bobby Jones was, and this is obviously a long time ago. I'll have to go back and see if I can pull up the year. But Bobby Jones is in the clubhouse.
Got to be in the 20s or 30s, right? 30s for Bobby Jones? The 30s?
Yeah, let's see when he wins at Liverpool. So he's in the clubhouse, and he says so he won it at 1930, which was the second leg of his Grand Slam in 1930. So when he was in the clubhouse, he saw this beautiful jacket.
Okay.
And he said, I love this jacket.
Okay.
And they said, well, if you win, you can have it.
Okay.
He wins the tournament.
Yep.
Does not take the jacket, but it is, I think, later that year or the next year that he buys a plot of land in Augusta, Georgia, where he builds Augusta National, and then his championship that he creates features the winner getting a jacket. So that is the origin story for the green jacket.
That's stunning. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Did you know that before the video?
No.
Was the jacket that he saw at Royal Liverpool, was it a green jacket? Or is that something he did on his own?
That I don't know, but because I didn't hear that part, they did say it, and then they alluded to many times that it was as green as, the Emerald Isles or something like that. So I'm guessing that it probably was, but I cannot confirm that part.
That is
everything else that I said I can confirm.
That's great. I love it. It's my favorite major. I love being able to get up and watch it and go. I'm with you on the Peter Alice. I think that Faldo there helps.
Great.
He adds a lot of juice to
Sir
it.
Nick.
He was complaining about Montana weather off the top when he was first introduced, and I felt like all of a sudden my dad was on the Open broadcast because that's about all he'll text me about is the weather. And so that was fun. you get these crazy leaderboards because you have these guys playing that play on the DP tour or they play on Live that I don't know who this guy is. This guy's an amateur who's leading it, this Lamprecht. And then there's a guy named Rossner who's behind him, a Frenchman. I've never heard of these guys. There's a Spaniard, Adrian Otago. I don't know who that is.
Nope.
Never heard of him.
No.
Alex Noren, who's from Sweden, is on the top of the board. So you get these crazy leaderboards too. That adds to it because, Alexander Bjork, these guys we never see. So I like that part of it too.
Yes.
So it's courses we don't see very often, even though
Yes.
it's a rota. And then it's a lot of players that we don't see very often. You get to wake up with it.
All right, full story. Now
Give
I
it
got
to
it
me.
for you.
Go,
So
go,
I
go.
must have misheard it. So the story goes that Jones was sitting next to a chap called Kenneth Stoker, who was captain of the club the year before at Liverpool, Hoylake. As all the captains were wearing their formal kit, which was this bright red coat that they have at Liverpool. Jones asked about it, was fascinated by it. Eventually, Stoker said to him, "Now look here, Mr. Jones, if you win the tournament, I'll give you my coat." I could have sworn on TV they said he did not take the coat. This says, of course, Jones won, and he got the coat. And in fact, that the red coat that he got is on sale at on display at the Atlanta Athletic Club in a part of their museum, which is called the Hoylake Room. But it was that coat that 3 years later, Augusta members started wearing green jackets to make themselves identifiable to patrons. And in 1949, it was decided that year's victor and all previous champions would be issued their own version as well. So that's how the green jacket came, because they had a red one that was their symbol of Liverpool, and he wanted to have one at Augusta. So that's how they had the green jackets. Pretty
That's
cool.
beautiful. That is beautiful. Apparently, there's a Bobby Jones red coat tournament
Oh, baby.
that they do too. So that this is all.
So there it is.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. See?
Yeah, you
learn
love the
a lot from
history
the
of it all.
vignettes.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is, it's the vignettes, and it's the fact that, this is where golf was invented.
That's right.
Yeah. Just in the British Isles. I realize that St. Andrews in Scotland is the course where it was actually invented, but it's the history of it. It's just awesome.
Yeah, and it was refreshing because I always liked it as a kid because you come off of like a steady diet of what is probably be considered like Eastern American
Tracks.
tracks,
Yeah.
tight,
Yeah.
big trees.
Yeah.
Everything looks the same to the untrained eye. There's not that much difference in the courses. Some have water, some don't, but they all largely look the same. Tree-lined fairways, and away you go. And then all of a sudden, this thing popped up, and you were like, "Wow!" There's no course like that anywhere that I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like that. So, and then it
awesome.
caused them to play differently.
Yes.
Whether it was Tiger never hitting driver when he won in 06,
Not
or
one
not even
driver.
putting one in the bag. He even had the driver in the bag. Like,
We just watched Tony Finau putt in a bunker so
Yeah.
that he could then hit a shot out of the bunker.
see that stuff. I love that. I love that they have to do stuff that we don't otherwise see.
Yeah.
So that it checks a lot of boxes for me. We have another NFL uniform, two new uniform unveils today. The Colts have,
I saw one of them.
Colts have black helmets and a full blue. It's Indiana Knights, they tell us.
You know what it does? It stinks.
It
They
sucks.
are awful.
It's awful.
Like, it should have
They're
been a
wearing them against
blackout.
us.
It should have been a full black. If you're
should have
going
been
to
like
do
Duke.
it,
Yeah.
right, go black. If you're going to do this blue jersey, the numbers have to be black.
Of course.
They have white numbers on the blue jersey with a black lid, and there's like a little black stripe down the shoulders. And they're awful. They look like bad. They and the Lions, I think, missed pretty badly. Like the Lions, what is it? They're grays.
Well, yeah, and then the logo
With a
was
blue
cool that
lid.
they had, but then they had a blue lid, which is a mimic of a Ford car from the 60s, but they're wearing them with the gray
Yes.
bottoms. I think they would have been passable in a white
Yes.
and with a blue pant. Maybe that
And a
would have
blue
worked.
numeral.
Correct.
Yes.
But like the way they did it just didn't land the plane at all. The other one that was unveiled today is it's just a helmet, but the Falcons are wearing the red helmet with the that helmet, that Falcons helmet, that red helmet with the bird on the side is one that the reason that helmet was what the Falcons wore, and it looks beautiful. It's got a gray face mask. It's a total
They wore
throwback.
it last year.
No, not this one.
Mariota was wearing it last year.
I don't think it was this one.
Because
Because this is a big deal. They made a big deal about it today that they're wearing the red helmet again. So they've worn it previously. They wore it when Matt Ryan was there. It goes with their throwback jerseys because they had the.
I mean, I watched quarterback last night, and Mariota played a game 100% in a red helmet.
But is it this one?
It may not be because this is the old Falcon.
It's the old Falcon.
That's maybe what the difference is.
Yeah, it's the old Falcon. So these have like a little bit of gold piping in them that pays homage to Georgia Tech.
Yeah, this is what he wore last year. So I don't know how.
I don't know.
Red throwback helmet returns 10/16/22. They wore them. I'm telling you, they wore them last year.
Well, then I wonder why did they drop like that? It was a big deal.
June
that they're wearing
1st,
them again.
2022. The Falcons announced they're bringing back the red helmets and will be wearing them October 16th. Yeah, it was the game against the 49ers when Mario didn't throw an incompletion until the fourth quarter. Because I just watched that episode of Cornerbacks.
So I wonder if they were just worried that they wouldn't be coming back, or what? I wonder what the reason for.
I think they just
making a big deal about it today.
I think they just revealed what games they're going to. They're back again, and they'll be back for 3 times as opposed to 1 time a year ago.
Okay, red alert, 3 games. Okay, so I missed that game that they played in those.
Yeah, it was against the Niners.
Okay, so they're beautiful. They look.
They
great.
are beautiful.
They're stunning. That's a gorgeous.
They
one.
they whooped the Niners, 28-14. Whenever you want to have some quarterback thoughts, because you must have gotten farther than I did. I'm through 4 episodes now. I love it.
I haven't watched it. I haven't been able to watch it like start to finish. I've watched parts of it here and there. I've not watched.
I watched
like,
the first
sat
4
down and watched.
episodes.
Real quick, I have a uniform theory
that
I wanted to run by you.
Yep.
Is it possible? Rather, this is more a question.
I'll
frame it in the.
You frame it however you want.
I will frame it as.
You give me an answer. I'll give you a question. Like
I'll frame
Jeopardy.
it as a statement, and then you can
Okay.
decide how to answer the question of it.
Okay.
I don't think it's possible to do a cool new uniform. Completely original.
What is the problem for Nike with new NFL uniforms? The answer, I don't think it's possible. I don't know about that.
Is there a cool new? Because the ones that get most of the praise recently, I mean, the Chargers, they're new technically, but it's paying homage to it. It's
but
based
that to me still new. It's a modern twist on a classic.
It is, but that light blue one that they get all the credit for, that's pretty much a mimic of the Lance Allworth. There's very little difference. We got a lot of praise for ours when we went back to the original. It was our original look. Is it possible to do a cool original new uniform? The ones that have tried it have failed miserably. We mentioned this. The Lions and the Colts tried to do wholly original one-offs, and both have been panned.
Yeah,
the Falcons fell flat as can be.
Terrible. I think it's possible though, because when the Seahawks did it, and I realize we have to do it again now, but those were very new uniforms.
That's the last. I was thinking that's the last one I could think of that was like, yeah, they landed the plane on
they
this.
killed it.
This lands it.
Aren't Arizona's a little bit better than they were?
Well, you couldn't get worse.
No.
So, but they didn't kill it. I don't think. I think they did all right. The white one especially is pretty good. But I think it's really difficult to do like a new uniform.
Well, here's the thing. In the National Football League, yeah, I like their blacks and the whites of the Arizona one. The red one I'm not crazy about. Here's the thing. In the NFL, the best uniforms, okay, which would be Niners, Raiders, Cowboys, Bears,
Steelers, Packers,
Steelers,
like us. The iconic.
Those are iconic, and
yeah,
that's
Cowboys.
You go. I mean, I think the Bills. The Bills have very nice modern twists on their.
Yeah, it's
classics.
It's paying homage to a previous, but they were smart to get rid of the red hat and to go with the white hat.
Yes. But the Bills are Theirs
are good.
Theirs are good.
The
Vikings,
the Chargers, they've done a good job of like modernizing an original idea, but a entirely unique idea. I think it's really hard. We've had several of them trying the last 20 years. Denver did it. The Bucks have done it to varying degrees.
Denver just needs to go back to the orange jerseys and the light blue
I don't know why
hat.
they haven't. Like, why would you not drop that? Everybody wants it.
Everybody
the light blue hat. Everybody wants that Elway uniform. I don't know why. Yeah. By the way, both the white and the orange is great. Like, just wear those and you're good.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I don't get it. I think some of it, too.
I think you're right. I think it is. I think it's
really
challenging. I think that, like, for example, the Saints are not their classic uniforms, but I think their modern uniforms are better. But they're not necessarily so much new over the last 30 years.
No. But it's also it's two things. I think. I mean, this
black.
You don't have to overthink it too
color.
much. I think it's for sure. It's in the name. It's uniform. That's why we like the stuff that because when you watch the Cleveland Browns play, you want them to look like the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
It goes to the same in college. It's why anytime there's like best uniform in college football, it's Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, Texas, USC. Those have remained unchanged largely for the last 50 years.
Yeah, and they have fun one-offs that are where you take a gamble.
By and
that's
large,
it. Yeah.
You're going to wear a silver hat and there's going to be a bunch of Buckeyes on it by the end, or there's going to be a winged helmet. I mean, it's the same thing. So like what you crave is uniformity out of a uniform. We don't want it to be different. We're in love with what it was.
Right. Yeah. You're exactly right. I think that there are some that have chances. I think I think the Falcons botched theirs pretty bad because when you have silver, black, and red and white as your palette to work with, like you should crush it. There shouldn't be any mistakes made.
They've done that twice.
Yeah, that gradient one. Do they even wear that anymore, or do they?
No, I think they still have. I don't know that it's in their catalog or not, but they had. I mean, they were coming out of so they had these red helmets. Then that graduates to the Deion Sanders black helmet look.
Jeff George's, yeah.
Prime was there at the beginning. That goes all the way through the Jeff George, Jamal Anderson. I can't believe I just put Jeff George in this mix. Jamal Anderson, Dirty Birds era.
Yeah, they should.
Then they draft Vic, and then they said, "Nah, those aren't good enough."
Yeah.
No, they're perfect.
Their catalog should be those, and then they can wear the red lids kind of as one-offs because the black lid, and you can wear the red lid with the white. They have white jerseys that would have red numbers versus the ones that have the black numbers with a red outline. But any of those 1994, like the 1994 Falcons uniforms are perfect.
They're perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Niners are good at that, having that one that's got the white in it, which was, I think, a way throwback because it was in 94. It was the 75th anniversary year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Those the white pants.
And they've kind of modernized those. Yeah. They look great.
They look great.
Yeah.
Yeah. To botch that color scheme is
bad.
You got to work hard.
What the Colts did here, though, is egregious.
It's weird at how it happened. I wonder, like, what. Here's the other thing. Like, people wanted. I think it was Florio or somebody saying, Nike can't figure out NFL uniforms. Nike will make what you tell them. So if you go to Nike and say, we want a one-off, we want it black, and they throw a bunch of stuff at you, I'm deciding it. Nike's not saying you have to wear this. This isn't Oregon football where Nike makes 1,000 uniforms and they wear them. That's not what this is. They give you what you want.
I just don't understand how
I don't either.
They wanted this. It had to be if you're going with a black lid, it's got to be all black.
Of course. Duke football basically wears
that?
The Colts uniforms, except it's a D instead of the horseshoe, and they have an all black that is
with the blue numbers.
Black basically just replaces white or blue. It's just black head to toe, and the helmet is just black with it. It's actually got it's a monochrome black D on it. But just do that if you want to wear black.
Yeah, not this.
No. I'm with you. I like their Manning navy blue gray famous 2 horseshoe one. I think that's pretty
That's
good.
a great one.
Yeah, and they chose not. Your thoughts on quarterback?
I love it. So it's really, really, really good. I found it, the one, have you seen when Kirk Cousins played the Bills? Have you seen that yet?
Yeah.
Just the amount of pain that he was in. Yeah. And what I think it really hammered home is something that we talk about on this program a lot, and that the Hoff, I think, really nailed and drove home for us in our conversations with him about his process, is that Kirk Cousins is not the most talented quarterback in the NFL. He does have an uncanny ability to throw the ball accurately. He is very talented in that regard, especially while taking hits. But he's not the most talented quarterback in the league, from just a prototype standpoint. Kirk Cousins has been able to make a ton of money and win a lot of football games and throw for a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns because he is fully committed to being the best quarterback that he can be. And I would say, and then you say, well, you watch it and you say, well, also, so is Patrick Mahomes. And now you're seeing somebody with that level of commitment and that level of talent, and that's why he's the best in the league. But the stuff that he does 3 days a week on his own from a physical standpoint to keep his body in shape, which I thought was stunning to see that he does like 3 really hard workouts on his own during the week, even in the season, that's why he is what he is. It's not just that he has talent and he's resting on it. I thought that episode in particular, hearing Cousins kind of like moan after every hit in the huddle, which to me I was kind of shocked that he would do that because, number one, it's letting your opponent know, like, this is a wounded guy here. Like, let's keep hitting him. But it was kind of wild that he did that. I thought it was very cool to see the interplay with him and Kevin O'Connell, where he kind of called a sneak on his own and they didn't get in. And Connell's like, dude, you gotta let me help you here. We can get you in a better formation. We can get you in get a better look for you. I found it fast. I really, really enjoyed it. Mariota seems like just the nicest guy, not a ton of personality, but just a very, very nice guy who, wants to kind of resurrect his career and prove to himself that he can still play, is kind of how I felt about it. And I didn't realize he's in Philly. So he's the backup in Philly now. And Minshew went to Indy.
Okay.
So he isn't. So I was curious, where's he at? He's in Philly. I think it's a great show. I think Mahomes' commitment, and they show him watching tape, and then they show him talking with Andy Reid in the practice period where they get to make their own plays up, and then they get to basically pitch it to Andy Reid. I thought was so cool, and then to see one of them get used in a game and then have Mahomes talk about it was awesome. Just the level of intricacy, it's stuff that being around it like we get to be, and we're very lucky to do it. Really what goes into it. I don't think there are people who don't necessarily maybe work in the league or who really understand the level of dedication, commitment, and time that goes into it, not only from a body standpoint, but from a mental standpoint. And Kirk Cousins, doing the things where he's checking his brain waves and trying to control his brain and all of this crazy stuff that he's doing, because he's like, well, if I can control my brain here, then in those pressure moments, I can keep my brain calm and I can be my best. I just find it fascinating what these guys are willing to do to be the very, very best. And what you're seeing is Kirk Cousins, and I think, I don't know how you could watch this and not end up being a fan of Kirk Cousins, because he seems very likable. He seems fully committed. Maybe he's a little bit of a strange bird, but in terms of his dedication to his craft, he's never going to retire and be like, you know what, I could have gotten more out of myself. Like, he's doing everything that he can to get everything out of him, and I respect that a lot.
I think one thing whatever you think about him, he is genuine.
Totally. 100%. Seems like such a nice guy.
I interviewed him at the Big Ten Media Days when he was at Michigan State, and I got done with the interview, and I thought to myself, because there wasn't any notion that he was going to be like a pro quarterback.
He was a really good college
quarterback.
And a good leader, right?
For sure. But it wasn't like anybody thought he's going to be a first-round pick.
Right.
And I remember, or that he was going to play in the league for 10 years or anything like that. There was no inclination of that he had that. And I remember afterwards doing some hits and just some impressions, and I remember thinking to myself, to me, his future, he would be like the governor of Michigan or a senator from Michigan. That seemed like he was so, and we were dealing with, at that time, they're still dealing with in college football, name, image, and likeness, pay for play, all of that stuff. He was so bright on it and so prepared for the availability. There was no... Usually college kids slip here. Heck, pros slip here and there. He was so comfortable and so dialed in to that it was. I am surprised he's had the career he's had. But when you watch the quarterback or when you see that, you make the great point. He is maximizing and putting all the effort in to maximize what he can be, and he's become very rich doing it. And it's had a great career.
A great career, yes.
All right, two things I want to run by.
Stud.
I had said earlier in the week, I think this replaces Hard Knocks as the NFL Films entity of record.
I don't have a problem with that.
How much are they compensating? And if they didn't compensate these guys, what are they going to have to compensate going forward?
So my guess is there are a couple ways to look at it. I don't bet not much. I bet they were not compensated.
It's incredibly invasive.
It is invasive, but you get the feel. But it does feel like watching it that it's not reality show. It's like they're brought into the house for very specific scenes. It doesn't feel it does not feel like we're in your house all the time and we're going to capture what we capture and edit it how we want. It feels like, okay, Kurt, you have this cool room behind the hidden door where you have all your memorabilia. We're going to look at that. Okay, Marcus, we're going to see your chef who was your childhood friend. It doesn't feel invasive that simple. So
it is intrusive, though, and it would be a huge commitment.
I think it is a big commitment, and you obviously have to do your voice work later and all of that. But my guess is probably not much. Number one, if Peyton Manning asks you to do it and say, hey, let's help the world understand, really what we do.
Mm-hmm. So Peyton Manning's getting paid. This is on Netflix. Yeah. They didn't give it to him.
I'm sure they're getting paid, but I mean, to me, it's like and what even moves the needle for them? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. I mean, their times were something. I think you're right. I'm guessing this first time through, it was next to nothing. I'm guessing this was Peyton calling these guys individually and saying, this is our idea. I'd like you to be the first part of it. And that's why I said, like, I think he's calling his biggest favor he can call to Mahomes. You had to launch with Mahomes. He's the correct one to launch with. And so it was probably, hey, do me a solid.
I feel like Cousins was happy to do it, and I feel like Mariota was happy to do it.
I think, yeah, probably all of them were because Manning asked and they knew it was going to be cool. But Manning's making a lot of money on it.
Yeah.
Its popularity's real. Next year, is it the same? Is it? I think you're right. My guessing it was next to nothing right now. But this is going to be a profitable thing for everybody. And those guys giving up that time, there's worse.
Sure. I think that in watching it, too, what I found is that they're able to put together, it's 8 45-minute episodes roughly, right? So it's an hour and a half. It's 6 hours total.
Mm-hmm.
A good percentage of the footage is games or practices.
Yep.
That's being taped anyway. What I'm surprised at so far is like we haven't seen Kirk Cousins on the team plane. So I would guess they have not gotten access to the team plane to show him doing all his dances and all the chains and all that. We haven't seen any of that.
Nope.
So it feels like that at practice they can probably, and it feels like they're dropping in at particular times. It doesn't feel like they're just there for every practice. I feel like they're able to do it without it being as invasive as maybe we would think, like a Hard Knocks is when they're just descending here for a month where it's everything in the month. I feel like they are getting stuff, but it's stuff they would be getting anyway in many cases.
They're Mike, like the partners are like
that part.
Mahomes' wife is mic'd,
at a
so
game.
she's at a game mic'd. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's tremendous.
It's awesome.
It's awesome. We went over who we'd like to see it. Now that you've seen as much as you have, do you want to change your vote, or do you think it's clearly Burrow would be their number one choice?
I think Fields would be an interesting guy.
Fields would be a good one.
I would love to see it on our guy. I think that's probably a few years off. But I would love to see Deshaun on. I'd love to see I'd like to see Trevor Lawrence on there, and I'd love to see Trevor Lawrence, talk about what his rookie year was like and how different things are now with Doug Peterson.
Yeah.
I think he would be an excellent one.
There's a lot of good ones.
Yeah, there are a lot of good ones. Herbert, like Stafford, I think would be cool. To your point, I don't know that I need another Mariota type. Like, I'm not necessarily all that.
Does that not work because it's Mariota, and while he's a really nice guy, there's not a whole lot to him? Or does it not work? Like, if it was somebody that was a little more desperate, at least.
Like, is Taylor Heineke, would he have been a better study last year? They really liked him in Washington. Then he gets benched for Wentz, and the crowd's revolting and all that. But, I mean, like.
Would Jameis have been better?
I just feel like there are enough.
Yeah.
You can run through, and there are new ones coming in every year. Like, if you do a rookie every year, which makes it easy.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's easy to do superstar, good next tier guy,
vet,
and then a rookie.
Yeah.
But I don't need the I'm fighting to keep this as my profession guy.
I don't have a problem with that. It's a Mailbag Thursday. Tweet us your questions to Browns_Daily on Twitter. We will get to those in the 2 o'clock hour. Coming up next, ESPN's top 10 quarterbacks. Can you get all 10, Dr. Z? We'll get to that coming up next. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Fans, you want to experience the 2023 Brown season in some of the best seats in Cleveland Browns Stadium. Visit lakecom.edu/Browns for your chance to win 2 field seats for the 2023 season, courtesy of Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine. Sweepstakes ends on August 30th. Give me
Quarterbacks.
Give me 90 seconds. We did we went over my travel tribulations to Charleston, the missed flight, stay in D.C., all of that fun.
How about a little something for the effort?
I booked that through Platinum Travel, right? Paid the first night with points, the other 2 out of pocket, okay? The hotel was aware, I made it abundantly clear to them that we were not going to get there because of a missed flight. They had the flight tracking. American Express knew this because I called them and said, you got to get me a hotel around here. The Prime Minister of India or whatever was here. So everyone's on the same page. As we check out, we say that we obviously weren't here Thursday. Points being put back, and points are worth more than the money, obviously, is the way that works. I would prefer the points than the money, but quite frankly, at this point, either one would make me feel good about things. Okay, fine. So I've contacted American Express like 3 times to get this sorted out. They can't. So I just got a message. I was on the phone with them for 45 minutes yesterday trying to get it sorted out. They're like, oh, yeah, we'll take care of you. Thank you for 20 years and blah, blah, blah. Great. And usually they're the best. I know you're the same. They're the best.
Yes.
I just got a call with a minute in the middle of the show here, a minute voicemail telling me that the hotel needs proof that we missed the flight. You know we missed the flight. It's in the notes.
And look at what the flight number is.
Just look at the flight number. You can see that we weren't on it. We did not check in. We didn't check in.
Right.
We didn't. You gave me tickets the next day.
Right.
You want me to show you the receipt for the Meridian in Arlington? I can show you that.
Yeah.
If that helps, what do you need? Why does it have to be this hard? You know I wasn't there. Like in the grand scheme of things, it's an expensive room, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a nothing for both sides. Keeping me happy should be their number one priority.
Right. For the hotel itself, right. 100%.
Right.
100%.
That's you were there the next night.
I was there the next day. We checked in at 4 o'clock the next day.
Yeah.
Right. Because that flight was delayed as well.
Yeah.
But this should not be that hard. Awful. All right. Top 10 quarterbacks.
I'm sorry.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
You went 10 for 10 yesterday on running backs.
I think you're going.
There's a bar here.
Let's just do the autos.
All right. Mahomes, Allen, Herbert, Burrow. Rodgers, Hurts.
Yep, you got the first 6.
Lamar.
Number 7.
Watson.
No.
More on that in a second.
He's top 10.
I understand.
All right. Trevor Lawrence.
Dak.
Number 8. Dak is number 9.
Dak is the one I had. So hold on. So then I'm at 9. There's one more.
Yeah.
I think Kirk Cousins.
I think it's Stafford.
Number 10, Matt Stafford. So you went 9 out of 10.
So there's 9.
Watson's not in the top 10.
He's technically honorable, the first one up in honorable mention, so I'm assuming that puts him at number 11.
Okay.
But
let's have the Watson conversation right now because it's in part of this. Do we want to do the order? Does it matter?
Yeah, I can tell you the order right now.
Go ahead.
Our first 6 were the first 6.
Mahomes was 1, Burrow was 2, Allen was 3,
Yep.
Rodgers 4,
Yep.
Herbert 5,
Yep.
Hurts 6,
Yep.
Lamar 7,
Yep.
Lawrence 8, Dak 9, Stafford 10.
All right, honorable mentions were going to be Watson, Tua, Cousins.
Yep.
Russ?
No.
Geno Smith?
No.
He's an also.
Yeah, he's an also.
Fields?
No.
Honorable mention or others receiving?
Others receiving votes.
Who are we missing?
You're
Tua?
missing 2.
Tua?
You had Tua, you had Cousins, you had Watson.
Jimmy G?
No.
Huh.
Russ?
You tried Russ.
No.
Russ isn't even receiving votes.
Jesus.
Just FYI.
That's a big drop.
Boys Al must have done this.
The two,
Mac Jones? For God's sakes?
No.
Tannehill.
No.
Who is it?
Honorable mentions Jared Goff
Oh, Goff.
Oh, okay.
I have him written here.
and
JG.
Mr. Carr,
Oh, yeah. We always forget about him.
which I don't.
Carr.
Others receiving votes were Kyler Murray, Daniel Jones, Justin Fields, and Geno Smith.
Okay.
Okay.
This is the Watson conversation. I talked about this a little bit this morning. Did you see Graziano's futures? Are you saving that for tomorrow? Probably.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not going to step over that too much, but it was spurned. My conversation this morning was spurned on by that. Nobody knows what to do with Watson. Nobody knows how to conversation about Deshaun Watson. They don't know how to judge him. They don't know what to make of him. I had a guess this morning where I said, is it more likely, do you think it is more likely that Deshaun Watson is what he was in those 6 games, or is 90% of what he was 2 years ago?
Or even 100%.
Or I think 100%.
Or 110%.
Right.
Yes.
And they said, the answer was, I just don't know. And I just reject that from the standpoint of, and I understand we view this through orange and brown colored glasses.
No,
but the notion that a 27-year-old human being who was the number 1 passer in the NFL 2 years ago, who was a 2-time Pro Bowler, somehow forgot to play the position entirely in 2 years, who, by the way, was paratrooped into an offense that was built around Jacoby Brissett, that was built around running the ball. This ain't that.
Yeah.
He was magical 2 years ago. There's no reason he can't be again. But nobody knows how to have the conversation about him. In Graziano's rankings, like, we're way down the list on it. Way down. In terms of like the next 3 years
Nobody
futures.
wants to talk about
they
it.
don't want to talk about it, so they just don't. And then they keep citing, it comes down to Watson. He was really bad in 6 games, and so that's
He
what
wasn't even really bad. We still went 3-3.
You and I know that. He wasn't what any of us thought he would be.
No,
but it's
but
like the notion that that's who he is at 27. This isn't Peyton Manning, who all of a sudden couldn't throw a football, or Drew Brees, whose arm wouldn't work. That's not that. This is a peak athlete at the peak of his powers.
So in the article, this is what an NFL quarterbacks coach said. Keeping him out of the top 10 feels wrong. He's too good. But putting him in the top 10 also feels wrong based on the play last year and the lack of play the last 2 seasons. Now, this from an NFC offensive coach. I saw improvement over those last 2 games. I think he'll be fine in that system. He's still, to me, when he's right, a top 5 passer. He needs time on task.
Yes. All fair. And he's going to get time on task. He's already different. Like, one thing that you realize
seeing this,
when you
though.
watch in the quarterback show, like, they're also human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And when stuff is weighing on them, whether it's the birth of a child, whether it would be obviously not great things like Deshaun Watson was dealing with, like, it's hard to focus on football and to be able to give you the lifestyle that it needs to be where it is everything that you do. You eat, sleep, breathe football. And, oh, by the way, there's no way to simulate being chased by the best defensive players in the league week in and week out. Like, you can't simulate that when you can't get hit. There's just no way to recreate it. Mm-hmm. I think it's significantly more like it. And so many people have done. It would be completely unprecedented for him to just lose, for him to lose it. It's an unprecedented story and situation. I get that, but like for him to just all of a sudden be an average quarterback, or not even average, would be compared to him being elite again. It is significantly more likely that he is elite again than it is that he is not.
Right.
I don't know why it's hard for people to have the conversation.
I just think nobody wants to get into the offseason stuff, so they just avoid it, and they just rank him because it's easy based on what he was, and they keep leaning onto those stats in those 6 games.
Okay, listen, we live in America.
No, I'm with you.
And at some point,
I'm just telling you, I think that's what's happened.
Where are we at? Will it stop then once we hear a year removed from all of the settlements? Is that when it stops? Like, at what point does it stop? Or does it stop when we beat the Bengals and beat the Steelers on Monday Night Football, and then everybody has to talk about us?
So use the things are not equal in any way in terms of how far one went or another, but I always use the Kobe thing. Like when he was charged or on trial.
Which already makes
charged
a
and on
difference.
trial, right?
Yes.
But what made people forget, I mean, by the end, nobody even ever talked about it, ever.
No.
But what made it flip is when he came back from all of it and was playing again for the Lakers, I'm pretty sure that first year back he averaged 35 a game, and that was the 81 game season when he had 81 that game. Greatness makes you forget.
Yeah. I mean, look at that. Even
so,
again, Roethlisberger, when he decided
Correct.
to hang it up, you never knew any of the trials and tribulations. If you had just plopped onto the planet at that point, you'd be like, this guy, what a human.
No one would think about Georgia or Reno.
No.
Tahoe. No,
Right.
zero. So I think I think it's just it's a little maddening because there is this, because no one's willing to talk about it. I feel like
Let me ask you
people
this.
think it's more likely that he is what he was rather than what he was 2 years ago.
Let's say he came back in those 6 games and we went 4-2, 5-1.
Forget the record. Let's just say he went lights out.
Lit it up.
Yeah.
Are we having these conversations
No.
now? So then everybody's moved on.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think people are talking about last year anymore. I just think they're
Nobody
not
is.
talking about him, period.
Yes, they are.
They're just avoiding
he's
the
persona
conversation.
non grata.
Yes, it's too difficult.
It's not that difficult though.
But for them, it's not. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. So let's just move off of it, ignore it, put him somewhere in the middle, and we'll get down the road. And that's kind of what's
And they
happening.
probably feel like-
dude, have you seen Graziano's ratings?
no, but it already
And it's not
sounds
his. It's not
absurd.
just him. Like his is used by like ESPN's whole panel of people. I don't want to step on it, but like where we're rated as a roster, as a team, this is the only thing I would. The way that we're rated as a team makes it seem like us having Watson makes us worse. Like the roster is rated higher than Watson is, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's like because
We're
we
a
have
top
Watson,
10 roster in the league. So in this thing with a quarterback is 27, we should be in the top 10 for the next 3 years for sure.
we're not according to them, and we'll have more on that.
Well,
tomorrow.
That's
on
why
the
we got to
program.
go. That's what I'm saying. The whole thing about like this isn't a team with the talent and the opportunity to change all of that. They probably feel like it's not worth talking about Watson because he's going to go out there and if he balls, we'll put him in the top 5, and everybody's going to say how great he is, the savior
Yeah.
of Cleveland. And if he doesn't, then we don't have to talk about him anymore anyway.
Yeah.
But that's reality, which is why
That's why we can't wait till September.
summer's over for me. So now I can wish let's get to September. Like I want to see this football team play games.
That's where we're. It's going to be a long
That
8 weeks
matter.
or whatever. But that's where.
And
we're
those
at.
first 2 weeks, you'll
know. All right, we'll go around the NFL
Yeah.
coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner, your Cleveland Browns, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, let's go around the league. Denzel Mims, former second-round pick, traded to the Lions for a 24th, 6th, and a 25 7th. That's two receivers traded this offseason by the JETS.
Yeah, and I would imagine that the Lions are thinking Mims, tall, vertical threat. Maybe he can kind of hold the fort down for 6 games before Jamison Williams comes back, which is, again, so insane. Like, it's crazy he's not playing. Nonetheless, neither here nor there. I think we have a pretty complete receiver room, but I don't think we're kicking the tires on anybody. I would have been curious to see, more competition to me is always a good thing, but he's kind of fits a Cedric Tillman-y type of a profile in terms of his body size and his speed, size-speed combo, and they love what they've got from Tillman. So it's going to be tough to make our roster right now as a wide receiver anyway. I mean, it feels like the 6 are kind of set, really.
Hard to imagine they're not.
Yeah.
Based on where we stand right now.
Right.
The NFL owners are set to approve the sale of the Washington football team to a group led by Josh Harris. I think one of the minority investors in this is the guy who's going to end up being the majority owner of the Guardians. I think he's in on this Harris deal too.
Oh, baby.
With Washington. So the long national nightmare is over in terms of Dan Snyder being part of NFL ownership. It's $6 billion. Is the number on this. The Packers are a publicly traded company, so we know the money that they made from television, which is what all the teams made, and it's $375 million
Yeah, so it
just
means
from TV.
And that means the pot that was distributed is up. It was 11.1 to 11.9 or 1.1 to 1.9 billion, whatever it is. So good, or 11, maybe it's 11.
I think
That
it's
makes
11.
sense.
It's 11. Yeah.
But it's basically up $1 billion more than it had been expected to be.
Yeah.
So everybody's doing fine.
Everyone's doing quite well. Yeah, and he is going to inherit an operation that has been neglected for 20 years, that has been almost run the opposite. It's almost like when Costanza did the opposite and it worked out for him. Dan Snyder did the opposite of what fans wanted, and it just drove it
Did not work
straight off a cliff. He's got to get a new stadium. That's going to be job one. I would say job 1A is branding them properly.
Yep.
And eliminating. If I'm him, it's a no-brainer. Like, you just get rid
We
of
will not
any
be the
ties.
Commanders.
We are not going to be the Washington Commanders.
We're going
We're
to
going to get it sorted out.
The Red Hogs.
Or
We're
the
gonna bring
football
that R
team
back.
or whatever, and we're going to look the right way.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yep.
That's it. We're getting rid of Sergeant Tuddy or whatever that guy's name is. And
Ugh,
we're going to do the whole
Major
thing.
Tuddy,
Right.
I think.
Major Tuddy, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, the Bengals Ring of Honor happening as well. Chad Johnson and Boomer Esiason go into the Ring of Honor. They do so against the Rams.
It was just against us. It's the last week of the season, so it wouldn't be.
too
But
cold.
It's going to be. That's
How
awesome.
is Boomer not already in the Ring of
So
Honor?
they didn't have one.
Oh.
They didn't have one until 2 years ago
Munoz?
or last year. So the first two in were Munoz and was it Ken Anderson?
Ken Anderson, the quarterback?
Yeah, Munoz was in and Anderson was in. I think Ken Riley's in it now. I think this might be the third year of it. The fans down there wanted it forever, and Mike Brown had no interest in it. Katie
What's the harm
Blackburn,
in it?
I don't know.
So
Katie
you
Blackburn,
put names up in
who's-
your stadium. What's the problem?
No, I know, but that's Mike, man.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of stuff that's happening now is
Blackburn,
the Katie Blackburn and their kind of new view on the ownership of the Bengals. So that's why that's happening. That those two, that'll be fun. I mean, Chad, when I first came to Ohio in 2007, we used to go down to Bengals camp. When I was down in Columbus, we'd go every year to Bengals camp for like 2 days and cover it and hang out. And I'd always do the Bengals media day. The Carson, this would have been like 2007, I would say. The Carson Palmer, those teams, that Carson Palmer, Chad Johnson, TJ Hushman's, they were fun, man.
Yeah, Chris Henry.
They were really good and they were really fun. They had a lot of
Would that be,
personality.
Was that a Rudy Johnson?
I think that was a Rudy Johnson. It was definitely after Corey Dillon, who,
Yeah.
by the way, was not happy at this process. He feels like he should be in it. And I guess this is being voted on by like suite holders and fans and stuff as who votes on their Ring of Honor. So he was like, he's incredulous that he's not yet in, even though they haven't done it that often. And he was great there.
He was great there, but he finished his career with the Patriots, right? Won a Super Bowl with the Patriots.
Yeah,
Isn't that right?
that is correct. Yeah.
4-time Pro Bowler. 3 of them were with Cincinnati. So he played his last 3 years there. I mean, he had a pretty good run.
He sure did.
He was better with the Patriots, though. Certainly
Was
as a
he?
touchdown scorer. His best season of his career was 2004 with the Patriots when he rushed for 1,635 yards and 12 touchdowns.
qualifications for the Bengals Ring of Honor is on their website. Pro Football Hall of Fame members automatically inducted. Players must be retired. Additional qualifications include Pro Bowls, team records, individual achievements, and Bengals first 50 votes from fans and media.
I mean, he was a 3-time Pro Bowler with them. Didn't he have at one point? Didn't he set the record for most yards in a game, or did he do that with New England?
You talking about Corey Dillon?
He may have done it with New England against Cincinnati.
Might have been. That was the other thing, and that's the other part. Like Carson Palmer's never going to be inducted back because of how bad it got between him and the Brown family at the end.
Right.
But what happened there with Palmer would not have happened with this ownership. They wouldn't have let that happen with Palmer, right? So, yeah, it's a new thing. So, in terms of guys in it, it's Ken Anderson, Willie Anderson, Paul Brown, Isaac Curtis, Anthony Munoz, Ken Riley.
Yep.
So there will be a total of 8 of them in there. It's tricky because you want it to be prestigious, right? Like it can't be like what's happened like the NBA Hall of Fame, where just everybody gets in and let them all in, and that's kind of the beef sometimes with the Hall of Fame, is that like you miss out on the votes, and then all of a sudden the Veterans Committee's putting everybody in, and it's like, well, what happened here?
Yeah,
like there has to be a level to this thing. So this is didn't Boomer win the MVP one year? I think in the late 80s.
They went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I want to say 1 year Boomer Esiason won MVP of the NFL.
MVP?
Oh, I don't think so.
I could be wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering.
Hold on. Oh, no, you were right. NFL Most Valuable Player, 1988.
Yeah.
NFL Man of the Year, 95. First Team All-Pro just once, 88.
88 was.
Can you imagine how hard it was to be the first team All-Pro quarterback in 1988?
Yeah.
With Montana and Marino and all those cats?
He completed
making it now.
He completed 57% of his passes for 3,500 yards, 28 touchdowns, 14 picks.
Yeah, different sport.
Completely different sport.
Yep.
Completely different sport.
But yeah, MVP.
Four-time
Pro
Pro Bowler.
MVP.
4-time Pro Bowl, 1-time All-Pro.
We're going to have to do the same thing with the quarterbacks from this era when we do like who's getting in the Hall of Fame, because I guess it's really the last 30 years or so. Like, good luck. Like when you do like first team All Pros, if that's like the number one thing, you can't do that at quarterback.
No, it's tough. All right, so Corey Dillon had 270 something yards in a game, but as a member of the Bengals. I just got to it finally. It took me a long time. It was a long time, but this internet's so bad here, and I finally got it. And by the way, I was wrong.
I thought you were coming with an Esiason stat.
No, I have nothing on Esiason. It's terrible. You're right about the quarterback.
Then it came back
to Corey Dillon. Yeah, I had to do it.
What are you doing?
All right, hold on. Who do you guys know who the top
Corey
4
Dillon at one point already?
But I said he had that big game.
But you were
I wanted to
looking
look.
for that number.
And at one point, he did have the record, 278 yards. He did it as a member of the Bengals against the Denver Broncos. Averaged 12 yards a carry in that game.
Jeez.
Can I also ask a quick question?
Yeah,
sure.
When did Ocho Cinco go back to Chad Johnson? Stevie had to update me on that. I'm like, did I miss that somewhere?
He is
when
on
did
Twitter.
that go back? No, but now he's Chad Johnson.
That's his name. That's what he goes. He's going by his real name again.
He was the.
When did that change?
I don't know. I suppose when you're no longer in the NFL, you just go back. Maybe that's probably it. But he was. That was always my theory on the. That's why I think Kobe went from 8 to 24, because LeBron had passed him in jersey sales, so he did 24. So everybody have to buy 24. LeBron's now back to 23 after being at 6 and all of this. Chad Johnson switched to Ocho Cinco because they get a percentage of jersey sales. So he went Ocho Cinco
to try to get
a
little juice,
more money out of it.
Yeah.
And he was always, I mean, the story around him was always that he was really. It wasn't so much that he was smart with his money; it was that he just didn't spend it.
No, not at all. He would eat at McDonald's.
Yeah,
for real.
Yes, that's right. He would.
All right.
Kind of
here's a crazy thing: Boomer Esiason, in 187 games, he started 173 career games, 57% completions, 37,920 yards, 247 touchdowns, 184 interceptions, and that's in 173 starts. Kirk Cousins, which is why you say this stuff is all out of whack now.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins has only started 137 games, 67% completions, 37,140 yards, 252 touchdowns, 105 interceptions.
Yeah, it's a different sport.
Completely different sport. I don't know how you're going to be able to, like, all pros is going to be too hard because it was only won by a few people for multiple decades, but there are plenty of guys that should get in from that.
And Pro Bowl, the problem is all pro is too stringent and Pro Bowl's too easy.
Well, now you get 3, and then you really get like 6 because the guys who are in the Super Bowl don't count. And then
there really should be, like, if you're an alternate, you shouldn't be a Pro Bowler.
Correct.
And it shouldn't show up that way.
Correct.
On the thing.
Yeah, because they take like 5 alternates.
Yeah, there should be 2 Pro Bowl quarterbacks. And then if those guys can't play, then you get the alternates that you need. But there should only be 2 so that it has some juice to it.
By the way, Jerry Jones arriving at the NFL meeting to approve the Commander sale. I think it's going to be a great day for the NFL.
Oh yeah,
I'll give him. I mean, say what you will, but like, I think he's the one who probably got Snyder to this point. All the reading I've done on this, Jones feels like the one that was finally like, Dan, it's enough.
It's enough. It's time.
It's time. You've done everything you can. It's time.
All right, real quickly because I want to go back to this and put a little bow on my brain.
Put a ribbon on it.
Yeah, here we go. So from 1976.
Okay.
1976, O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, that was the longest.
He rushed for 273 yards.
Okay.
Then Walter Payton the next year ran for 275 in 1977.
This is Payton in 77.
Yep. That record stood until the year 2000. The year 2000.
That was so great when that was going to be a big deal.
Yeah. Corey Dillon, 278 against Denver. He did that on 22 carries, which is by far the fewest of anybody on this list. Then it's broken by Jamal Lewis, who rushes for 295 against the Browns. And not broken, so it stands at Jamal Lewis from 2003. He's got the record after 2000. Adrian Peterson breaks it in 2007 at 296 yards when he rushes for that and 3 touchdowns on 30 carries against the Chargers 2007, and that record stood to this day and probably will never be broken.
297
in a single game.
Yeah, that feels
November 4th, 2007. Now, there is one outlier on here because the names Corey Dillon, multiple Pro Bowls, Jamal Lewis, 1 rushing touchdowns, Adrian Peterson's going to be in the Hall of Fame, OJ's in the Hall of Fame, Sean Alexander's on this list, Jamal Charles is on this list, Fred Taylor's on this list. It's all dudes. And then the one Cleveland Brown that made it. Do you remember that, Gibbe? Rushed for 286 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, what was his name? It was the greatest game of his career.
It was his career.
Yeah.
It was his career.
His entire career.
Jerome Harrison.
Wow.
Jerome Harrison ran in 2009, which is the highest total since. Like, he has.
Wow. That would have taken a while.
Yeah.
I remember that because then he came on the really big show. He was doing like weekly hits. He was like a third running back. And he's like, I'll be at your clam bake. I'll come wherever you want me to. If you pay me, like, I'll come to everything. I'm in.
That's great.
Like, we thought he was the next big thing. Not so much.
Just so you know why it took me a minute. I've clicked on Jerome Harrison 5 minutes ago. Like, this is taking, our internet is taking a while right now. So that's why I came back to it. Sorry.
Little mouse on a wheel.
I'm like, come on.
Let's
Just
go.
give me this information.
Give me what I need. Second hour up next. Listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN.
Still haven't gotten to Jerome Harrison.
And be part of one of the most passionate fan bases in the NFL. Join the Brown season ticket member waitlist today for your best chance at securing tickets for all home games in future seasons. Don't miss out. Go to clevelandbrowns.com/tickets or call 440-891-5050 to reserve your spot today. Our countdown to training camp, which begins on Saturday. Today, the positional preview is the cornerback room. And for that, we go to Dr. Z.
By the way, before we get into this,
Sure.
Can I just say how cool it is, and you know this too, the gift the Hoff gave us,
You know how cool that
which
is?
is Tequila Fila, legend.
It was unbelievable.
Like that I'm sitting here right now, I'm able to monitor the temperature and everything for the sous vide with the prime rib sitting in it. So I'm doing an end of summer prime rib. So
We were talking about that.
Yeah.
To me, it feels like an odd time of year for one, but
It is.
You have good reason for it. So the Hoff changed my life. with
changed
that.
my life completely.
Changed my life in the way that I looked at how an NFL player would approach a singular play when it's done at the highest level. And the Hoff also gave me my coffee maker. Not gave it to me, but told me what coffee maker to buy. The thing about the Hoff that's amazing is, if anyone out there listening, and the loyal listeners remember this well, when he did that thing with the play about his process on the play, everything, which is like a master class in brilliance, he applies that to sous vide, to coffee, to
Working
whiskey
out.
when he's into that, to working
Whatever
out,
he's into.
to hiking, to
Whatever he's
wine,
into, yeah.
to whatever his interest is. He
Yes.
approaches it in a Hall of Fame manner.
Yep.
So when it came time, I was like, boy, I really like to up my coffee game. I text the Hoff. I got 17 paragraphs. Then I go, okay, I'm in it. I'm buying this. You had me at hello. I'll buy exactly the one that you bought. I'm in. But then he goes, oh, and by the way, don't waste your time looking for beans. These are the best. Guess what coffee beans we've drank for the last 3 years? The ones the Hoff. They're delivered every month by Amazon. It's the same ones every time. And they are perfect.
Well, did you see the Hoff is doing his own coffee company now?
No,
Yeah. Hold on. Pulled up. Yeah.
I'm not on IG, so I guess I missed that.
So the Hoff has partnered with Stipe Miocic,
Okay.
our own Stipe, to give back to Ohio food banks in our community. The All-Star Cleveland sports duo will back the launch of All Cleveland Coffee Company, a coffee company that will support Greater Cleveland Food Bank with its sales. Read more. Yeah, so Joe Thomas and Stipe.
Does he know it's in the beans, Larry?
It's all about got to have the good beans, Larry.
Oh, the good beans,
The
Larry.
beans. I'm sure he's going to have
The
great
Hoff
beans.
on a tarmac
The Hoff's going to have great beans.
in Nicaragua.
Yeah.
Like getting the right beans.
I love it. So they'll donate
He's not going to.
4 meals for every bag of coffee.
Well, that's
sold.
awesome. That's awesome. I'm guessing the coffee's spectacular because he's not going to put his
He's
name on
not-
something that isn't.
Agree.
And especially something that he has a passion for, and he has a
Yes.
great passion for Zabines. Last time I was texting him about, he was asking me some questions about whiskey, and he was saying that he has kind of steered, now that at the time he and the wife were doing like a coffee martini was like their cocktail.
Oh, baby.
Yeah. So he knows what he's doing when it comes to the beach, Larry.
He does.
All right, corners.
Corners.
Dr.
All right.
Z, go.
Very good room. My guess is 6 corners go in. Week 1, your starters, Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, MJ Emerson. Greg Newsome and MJ Emerson both looking for their first career interceptions. They have a lot of side action on that. That will be a big pick for whoever is able to land the first one in that battle. A.J. Green is your top backup. He can play inside, outside, and has played very well for us whenever he's been called upon. And then Mike Ford. I think these are the 5 that you can pen in right now. Mike Ford was brought here, again, by Bubba Ventrone, special teams ace, can also play corner, did so with the Atlanta Falcons. So behind those 5, who are the guys competing for that 6th spot? Now, one would be Thomas Graham. He was with the Browns last year, came in and played some slot in the win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and had a nice accounting of himself. So Thomas Graham would be one option. The second option, and probably the favorite, just given that he was drafted, but again, we don't think, never at any point did I think everybody we draft this year is making this football team. Cam Mitchell, the corner out of Northwestern. Now, good friend of Greg Newsome. Whichever of these guys doesn't make it, I would imagine ends up on our practice squad. And then you have guys that are fighting really to just kind of make a name for themselves. Tanner McAllister, Caleb Biggers. And then the wild card to me is Chris Westry, who's been in the league, played with the Ravens, and he's like 6'4". He just looks different than every other corner on the roster. So he's, to me, a little bit of kind of a wild card, different body type, total projection or project, as it were. But
Tanner
I think
McAllister, former Buckeye, played the 1 year. He was a transfer from Oklahoma State and then played the 1 year in Columbus last year when they transitioned to Jim Knowles as the defensive coordinator.
there you go.
I
think if you were
it's one that hits for some of you out there.
If you were betting Buckeyes, I think Ronnie Hickman has a better chance to be kind of a surprise on this roster than
agree.
Tanner at this point. But so that's where I see it. I think you got 5 locks. Your top 3 are as good a top 3 as there is in the league. A.J. Green's a very solid 4th. And then, Graham Mitchell be that backup nickel. We'll see how that battle kind of goes and plays out. And, again, those 4 preseason games, that's a lot. That's going to go a long way to determining who that final guy is and then what they do on special teams in those 4 preseason games, as well as what they do at corner. I think it's much more important your 6th corner. They may have to play corner at some point. You're hoping they don't. They will have to play special teams. So we'll see who kind of excels in that role. Biggest questions to me is, can we start turning what I would call excellent coverage and being, around the football a lot? Can we start turning that into real ball production and takeaways? I think that's the biggest thing that this team has not yet shown is its ability to, really take the football away. Denzel Ward does it last year. Grant Delpit leads you with the 4 picks, but like I said, none for MJ Emerson, none for Greg Newsome, and yet they were around the ball quite a bit. MJ Emerson on the season last year was one of the top guys in terms of getting his hands. 15 passes defense last season. Denzel had 15, but he had the 3 picks. MJ did not have any. And then Greg Newsome, 6 passes defense last year, was double digits his rookie year. So those 3, and then the other question really is, will we see Greg outside more and see Denzel kicked inside at times this year? Something that we've been kind of teased, I would say, in minicamp this offseason. And then can they stay healthy? That's the one thing. MJ Emerson last year, he gave you 17 games. Greg Newsome gave you 15 games, and Denzel Ward gave you 14 games. But it's been kind of the way of his career that Denzel will miss a couple of games over the course of a season, right? That's just pretty much kind of how it's gone for him. And then you got A.J. Green to be able to step in. But Denzel's played 13, 12, 12, 15, 14. So he's played 29 out of 33 the last 2 years, which are the best stretch of his career. He's given you at least 2 interceptions every year. But I think that's really it. It's a good room.
I just wrote down just one thing in regard to these first 3 are really, really good. Ward, Newsome, Emerson. But we need more playmaking.
That's right. Yeah, it's all.
They got to turn it over. There needs to be game-wrecking plays out.
Yes.
To be good, the margin is so thin.
Yes.
When you're playing, if Burrow gives you one, you got to get it.
Yeah, AJ
in
Green
those
picked
games.
them off in that Monday night. It set us on a course.
If there's
Denzel
one
with
mistake
the
a
pick
quarterbacks
6.
make, you got to be the one making those. They are so solid and so good, but in order for our team to be great, I think they need to be a little more dynamic in the playmaking end. It's just something that's the only thing missing. Everything else is there. The coverage is there, really solid. You can count on them. It's just, we just need a little more playmaking out of the group.
Agree.
It's a very solid group, though.
Yeah,
very good.
It is an elite group, and the Browns I think are a very, very solid team built on defense that's built to harass the quarterback and then to play good coverage behind it. Now, one thing that I'll point out is, and it's been brought to our attention by many people, Jake Trotter I know posted the stat, the Browns were the number 1 defense in the NFL and they played man coverage last year.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to play a lot more man coverage this year. So when you know that the ball is going to come out quick, you're in man, maybe we get a chance to get our hands on a few more passes and make a few more interceptions. Because ultimately, that's what this is about, right? To your point.
That's going to fit Denzel like a glove.
Yes, and Greg and MJ. MJ's a man corner. Yes. So we should be in a very good spot to kind of catapult that and get that game-changing, those ball hawk type numbers. Because if all of a sudden we go from our top 3 corners having 3 picks a year ago to our top 3 corners having, let's call it 10 picks this year, 12 picks this year, that is a massive, massive change. Massive change.
All right, we'll do the top 10 interior offensive linemen according to ESPN. That's coming up. It's coming up next. Cleveland Browns Daily, 8:50 ESPN Cleveland. Top 10 interior offensive linemen,
All right.
according to. You're not up, Gibbe. Too bad
How
you
am I
don't have a
not
light.
up?
Jesus.
How do you not have a light in there yet with all the renovations that were done? I thought we were getting lights.
Yeah.
Nah.
There's all new lights all everywhere you look.
Everywhere else
New
is lights.
Brand
One
new.
red light on air.
On air. They'd have to be like up in here in this corner, right? So
Or if there was one on individual mics.
well, that's
That's ideal.
that's
That's really
on,
helping.
off, cough.
Yeah.
So we don't have to listen to Zagreb tap
on
the mic?
off cough.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
not his fault.
It'd be
I don't
great.
blame him
It's
at all.
not my fault, and
not his
so I
fault.
don't do what you just did, which was look like a
Gibbe,
buffoon.
if I was still doing the demerit
Except
list,
I'm not on the camera.
I would say this. If we were doing the
Stevie once taking the fall,
no, he's Stevie. He's thriving.
I didn't say.
thriving.
I didn't say
Let me say
anything
this.
about him.
saying he's on
Gibbe,
camera.
if I was still doing the demerits, there is no question in the last 6 months, last year, your demerits would be far greater.
exponentially.
Exponentially. Yeah. The old days.
Well, hold on. Is a demerit like
Oh, I know where you're going to go. This is a good counterpoint, I think, out of you if you go where I think you're going.
knocking the mic every other time? Like
Not a
that's a
demerit.
demerit too.
No, it
Like,
isn't.
hey, I've been in broadcasting for how long?
Well,
Is it
thing
on?
though, is
That's
there's no
what
way of
people
knowing.
do. That's what people do.
Dummy.
We got a hot mic.
Watch a WW when they get the mic, they tap it, they hear it's on, then they start talking.
We got a hot mic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
They
all would
give it
be
a little
solved
tap.
If when you built this studio and you designed it yourself with your specifications to exactly your wants, if these just had on-off cough,
Yeah, I know.
that would have solved it. I don't know why you didn't do that. As someone who's got a career in radio, like you have, at the highest level.
Yeah.
All right, you ready? Offensive lineman.
All right,
interior.
I've come up
Thank
with 10
God.
names. I don't think I have any chance. But
Oh, I think you're at least
I
good
think you're
for
gonna-
5.
I think
you're
I'm
5
good
or
for
6.
5. I think
Yeah.
I'm good for 5. All right, Joel Batonio,
Yep.
Jason Kelsey,
Yep.
Zach Martin,
Yep.
Number 1.
Joel was what, 5?
Joel was 5 and Kelsey was
was
6.
All right, so I've got 3 so far.
Yeah, 3
Yeah,
for 3.
3 for 3. All right, Creed Humphrey.
Yep.
Okay, all right, nice.
He's down the list like 8
All right.
or something.
Quentin Nelson.
Yep.
All right, I got 5.
I think he's like 3 or 4th.
Okay.
Somewhere.
Wyatt Teller.
No.
No.
He did not.
Did he make honorable mention?
Yes.
Frank Ragnow.
Number 10.
Got
Okay.
it. See?
All right.
So you're at 7,
You
aren't
got
you?
6 out of 7 right now.
6 out of 7. Elgton, I think that's his name.
You got it.
Jenkins.
Yep, he's
from
on
Green
it.
Bay. Okay.
7 out of 8.
Mitch Morse.
Nope.
No. Ben Jones.
No.
That's it. That's all I get.
Joe Thuney, I think, is 2.
Oh. Really?
Yep. A Chris Lindstrom.
Oh yeah, from Atlanta.
And then Brandon Scherf.
From
Jackson.
You
Washington.
got 7.
7.
7 out of 10. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Brandon Scherf's with Jacksonville now. That's right.
7 out of 10 on
Yeah.
on interior offensive lineman.
And literally you, because you didn't look ahead on the rundown, found out as we were going to break. Which is pretty impressive
good
that
job
you
out
did
of
that
you.
in 3 minutes.
Yeah, he did a good job.
Yeah.
Hey, he's good. I think that's him giving you credit.
Thank you, Gibbe. I love you.
Yeah.
Gonna love me a lot here in the next 10 days. Gonna spend a lot of quality time in the
familiarity.
game.
A lot of closeness. So you guys are bunking together? You guys have one room that you're sharing?
God, that'd be awesome.
Be an amazing reality show for a week. Would it not?
No.
It would. Glancy content. Put a camera on him 24/7. Real world. Gibbe Z.
First of all, Gibbe and a camera 24/7.
You too.
With all the stories this guy tells about his whole
Oh,
life,
no,
we
no,
don't
you
need him
couldn't. Yeah, you
under
couldn't.
supervision 24/7.
No, that's true. Yeah, you wouldn't want.
Well, no, there's a
We
few
want him to
hours.
stay.
It's
Yeah, we want you to stay with your freedoms intact.
Yeah.
but it would be great.
Do you remember that show, Real World, on MTV?
Yes. Why do you turn around and look?
I just wanted his face. That's all. Oh, something. Some are just for me. Some of them are just for me.
My favorite real world characters of all time, The Miz.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, he got
Puck.
himself in a little hot water.
The Puck was
The
something.
Puck.
Puck
The one guy was unbelievable. I know it went off the rails later. Was that Puck? Is that the guy?
in San Francisco.
Yeah, he was great, but it went off
Great.
the rails later in life for him in
I'm
in a
sure.
million ways and inappropriate, but he was really fun
I'm sure it did.
in the mix.
Yeah.
He was
Was
very
it
fun in the mix.
Pedro Zamora? Was
Yeah,
that
I
his name?
believe so.
R.I.P.
Yeah, you had, Kyle and Mike, same one, right? Were they the same season, or was there one in between?
There may have been one.
Kyle
in
was in San Diego, right?
Yeah,
Mike
Mike
was
was in New York.
In New York. Okay. Yeah, Kyle might have been the next year. Yeah, I think that's right. But there was another.
like Nice. Wasn't he on one of them?
I don't know.
What was his
Yeah,
name?
that guy was on there. That was that era. That was the sweet spot when I was watching it. Was that time?
Yeah. Let's see. He was on Back to New York. This is talking about the Miz now.
Kyle Brandt,
San Diego.
cast member of MTV's Real World 2001.
Is that
2001. So Back to New York was aired in 2002, I guess.
okay? So Kyle was on before.
Yeah, original release July 3rd to December 4th, 2001. New Orleans preceded it. Chicago followed it. So I don't know. So that had Coral, Kevin Dunn, Nicole Mitch, Rachel Braband, Mike Mazanin.
Kyle was on Real World Chicago.
So he was the next year.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Kerry Evans, Kyle Brandt, and Tanya Cooley. Whoever that is.
And Mike was on in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was trying to think of the. God bless. It's a great job.
What shows?
They were strong. You guys could have done it. Real World, Greenbrier, Bunking Up, Gibbe, Z. Mailbag coming up next. Cleveland
boy.
Browns Daily, 8:50.
Bobby!
All right, welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily.
You're
It is
taking your
a
own golf clubs.
Mailbag Thursday edition presented by Cross Country Mortgage, the official mortgage partner of your Cleveland Browns.
Oh, baby.
When it comes to financing, we always get you home. Visit ccm.com today. Equal housing opportunity, NMLS 3029. Give it!
Mailbag. Tweet us your questions at Browns_daily.
All right, let's go.
I like it because we've given it a little more time. We can breathe a little bit. We're going to have a little more fun, some more questions.
Yep.
Like Jersey Dog. Can we have the tweet of the week? We call it the Bobby Meschling Award of Awesomeness.
I met Meckling, by the way.
No is the answer.
You know this.
You did.
I don't know. You were on that text,
I
weren't you?
did. I saw it.
Yeah. Bobby was
Hey,
at
Bobby!
He was at Absolution 16. Great show. Bobby
Made
was
better by
there.
Bobby's
oh
presence.
my God. It was such
Yeah.
a treat to see him.
Yeah. Can we do a tweet of? So what they're looking for is like a fan does a great tweet, a good job out of you tweet. That's what we're looking for.
You gave one out today to somebody for their comment on the Colts.
Oh, that was funny.
Uniforms.
One of the,
Or was it about Aaron Rodgers? It was about Aaron Rodgers.
it was a pretty funny tweet.
Yeah, it was about
And
Aaron
I said
Rodgers.
something to the effect of, I just saw somebody on Twitter had a funny tweet about Aaron Rodgers that he looked like one of the guys on one of the dads on a recruiting visit trying on the uniforms.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what he looks like. And one of my producers went, "Yeah, that I tweeted that." And I'm like, "Oh, I knew it was somebody." And he's like, "Well, can you like it?" I said, "Why do I have to like it? I'll quote tweet it." He goes, "But you still didn't like it. So is a quote tweet not worth as much as a like?" He's in the currency of likes, and I'm like, I don't pay attention to the likes.
Quote tweet is
better.
You're giving him a chance to get likes from your audience.
Correct.
Not just one like from you.
That's what I think.
You're giving him a chance to get
I think he's double dipping.
Hundreds
on that.
of
I think
likes.
it's a much bigger.
much
Yeah.
bigger thing.
Yeah.
Yes, I could do this.
Yes.
It would just be something. S1 would have to keep an eye on it. I would trust.
Yeah, we
him
need
to do it.
we need
He
a
would have to
curated
be-
list of nominees.
Or we could even say, "Hey, that's a good one. Put it in the list, and then we could crown it at the end of the week."
Certain
I'm not
people
opposed to that.
whose tweets we really enjoy are disqualified from having the tweet.
Many are disqualified. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
All right, Richie Fox with a few for us. If you guys were to loop in a Browns player to be on a
Great,
2v2 FIFA match with Team Z or Team Double B, who would those players be?
I'm not going to have a Browns player. I'm going to have somebody who was a Browns coach for maybe a day. So they count as being part of our organization. Chad Johnson will be my partner because Chad Johnson, I think, plays FIFA as much as anybody on the planet and is really good.
Does he
He
still?
will go
He's
around
still on
town
it?
and be like,
Yeah.
I'll give you $500 you can beat me, and then he posts how he kills people.
Kills people.
Yeah.
It's probably.
I want
probably
Chad. Hey,
would
that's
be
my
the
answer.
greatest.
And then I'll
I've
just
never
sit
played
back.
with somebody like together versus two other people on it.
I have
don't
done
know
it
how
against a
that would work.
computer. It's
Yeah.
so fun because you can actually make when all those times when you wish the guys would make runs, you can
Yeah.
just make that run.
I guess you just make that run. Yeah.
By the way, it looked like a video game last night. Chelsea, I think it was Chelsea. They had like some exhibition down in North Carolina
Yeah.
at UNC's football stadium. Good God.
Well, they were playing Wrexham.
Yeah, who's not even in their
No,
same class.
but you know who they are, right?
That's Ryan
Yeah.
Reynolds.
So it's Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney's
They just
team.
made it up.
They were in the 5th division or 4th division. They had asked the club if they could be a part of it, and they've turned them. They had their home ground seats 11,000. They played in front of 50,000 last night against Chelsea, and
It was
they were the
crazy.
draw as much as Chelsea was. It's incredible what Reynolds and McElhenney have done with them.
And they've made it. Aren't they in the league? Like
They're not in the
No,
Premier League.
no.
They're
Not
like
yet.
in,
They're
I
not
think
in
they're
the
like
same.
still like third one from the top.
Yeah.
but they're
They were
moving
like
up.
one of the bottoms.
Yeah, Chelsea
They
beat them
moved up.
5-0.
They're moving up.
Oh yeah,
and it was-
that's not. That'd be like us going and playing an arena team.
Yeah.
They're not there.
Who do you think has had a transformative offseason from end of last year to now?
Who are some of our favorite? He's transformed his body.
Jordan Elliott.
Jordan Elliott
Nick
was.
Harris.
Nick Harris was.
And unfortunately, he got hurt.
Yeah, we've had bad. Anytime we've crowned somebody who's transformed, then it's injuries.
I will tell you, one guy who does look different is Jacob Phillips. He is
I
much,
was so fearful
much
that you were
bigger.
going to say him. I really wanted you to say anybody else.
He has a lot more mass
Not
on his,
anybody
but he's always been. I mean,
He's always been
So maybe
impressive.
this will be the jinx, though. But no, he has a lot more mass. He is much
Yeah.
thicker. He would be one. I mean, most of our guys are honestly got pretty darn good shape. Like this is a pretty it's a pretty good group.
AK_man42. Nathan, sounds like you have a real legit golf skill. Yeah. Did you ever consider pursuing golf professionally?
No, I'm not even.
This is what I want people to understand. I dealt with this a little bit on Monday. Somebody said, wow, Steph Curry's really good at golf. Why could he possibly play on the PGA Tour? No, he could not. The difference between great amateurs and those guys is what, 10 shots?
Oh, yeah.
A round?
Yeah.
So, like,
well,
when
especially
they would do,
on the harder courses.
Correct. So, like on a U.S. Open setup, like Tony Romo, when he tries to qualify for the U.S. Open, I mean, they had a big deal about it the one time. Like, could he break 80? Break 80 on a U.S. Open setup, and I don't think he did.
No. I mean, look, you have to be so good. And even now, because of technology, like there was a time when I was much younger that I was like, oh, maybe, when I'll go for the seniors tour, the champions tour. Now those guys are still so good.
Yeah.
And it's all the guys that I used to watch on the PGA Tour. Right. Like, I'm not nearly as good as them. Now they're all on the championship tour. So, yeah, no, never thought of it. I have fun being a very solid amateur.
Pretty solid. He'll be playing with luminaries next week.
But, like, the difference, honest to goodness, I feel like the difference between me and, like, a 16 handicap, even though those stroke numbers are different, is the same difference as me and a pro golfer. Like, could I go out and birdie any hole? Sure.
Yeah.
But to do it over the course of 72 holes, they will beat me by a ton. And I don't know. I wouldn't confidently. You said ball into the hole like real.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I broke 80 on a tour setup, I would feel like it was a huge.
You just played Firestone,
but not from all the way back.
But you could see where they were.
Yeah, like if
that's a tough course. Off a tour setup.
Yeah. The other thing too, they know the course better. So like, let's say on my home course, if my home course was set up for like a tour type of an event, I still think I could break 80 from the tips, but it would be very hard.
Yeah.
And for them, they would be in the 60s.
Yeah.
No, not even in there.
It's hard for
playing different games
because most people aren't any good at the sport. But even those of us who play a lot.
He's footloose and fancy free.
Oh boy!
Look at him,
Connor with the K. He's got a little juice to him.
Yeah, but he's not even coming to.
He's not going to the Greenbrier.
The Greenbrier.
Why is he not going?
I believe family wedding.
All right. Very good.
From Richie, hypothetical, you three are taking the new Stevies on a tour of the town. Where are you headed to give them a sense of this is the land? I have a spot. It's getting bulldozed tomorrow. Those who know.
Really? It's getting bulldozed? One of your favorite haunts?
I do. It's a haunt. I don't know if it's a favorite haunt, but it's getting bulldozed tomorrow. We can't really discuss that. However, I think you got to take them to Little Italy.
It's funny. I've lived here.
I love Little Italy.
You're talking like Mayfield?
Yeah.
I mean, Little Italy's great, but I feel like you got to go. You're either going downtown and doing like a Marble Room Town Hall combo, or you're coming out to the sweet East Side. And you're going like beautiful Chagrin Falls.
This is the thing I've always said this about here versus Central Ohio. Here, the definition of this is Cleveland is different depending on where you live.
Yes.
And it's universal. Like if you lived on the west side of Columbus and we lived on the east side of Columbus and whatever, and we had people coming in and Ned asked us this question and said, how would you do show 'em Columbus? We would say, well, you're going to stay downtown. You're going to go to the state capitol down there. You'll go to the hockey. You got the new soccer stadium down there. You're going to go to Ohio State. You're going to do Short North. Like would be pretty universal. You go to the zoo. It'd be the same 5 or 6 things that all of us would say. Here, it is entirely in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
And where you live versus how you define it. Because there is that Little Italy University Circle. That's awesome. That's great. But there's also the downtown.
It's also impossible to get to.
It's impossible to get to. It sucks to get to.
Yes.
It's brutal.
Also got
and then there's also
the
Crocker Park situation, and then you've got our
the
side.
Lake,
the lake on the other side.
So Pier W.
I would take them to the islands for a week.
But that's not Cleveland.
No, now you're going into
like if you're doing Northeast Ohio, you're doing. If you're doing Northeast Ohio, you're going to go to the islands. You're going to go to Sandusky for Cedar Point. You're going to go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and you're going to do downtown Rock Hall. That I would say that University Circle and all that would probably be on the outside looking in. So, and it's really that's the unique part of this area.
It's really like living in like 3 different cities.
Oh God, for sure, even more. I think.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the great benefits that that happen here, but also a little bit of a curse. Down there in Columbus, when we lived down there, it felt like if you told people where you're from, you would just say Columbus. Even if you lived in Dublin or Arlington or Bexley or whatever, you just say, where are you from? Columbus.
Yeah.
Here, you don't. It's not. It's
nope. Separate neighborhoods.
Separate neighborhoods.
Think about how
very segregated
the Bay Area is, and you'd say, so where are you from? The Bay Area. And then they would say, okay, well, I know the Bay Area, so then where?
Right.
And then you get into your city, which many cities in the Bay Area have a bigger population than Cleveland.
Yes.
But you would never be like, I'm in the...
Never.
No.
Brad Howard, hey boys, I'm playing in my second ever golf scramble Saturday. What advice can you give me to be a good golf scramble teammate?
Putt.
Make putts. Make putts. You make putts.
That's it. Nobody cares about anything else. Make putts. There's going to be somebody in your group who hits it well off the tee. Make putts, and you'll pay your way.
Yep.
Fair.
You make putts. That's all it is. That's what scrambles are about. You should be on. You're going to hit the greens in regulation. It's a scramble.
100%.
Silent Night. What would your dream PLE, i.e. SummerSlam, WrestleMania, and who would be your dream
premium
matchup?
live event?
Okay. And who would your dream matchups in that event be?
The beautiful thing about this is a wrestling question, I guess.
I think so.
Right?
Yeah.
So we've gotten them all.
Well, the one we haven't gotten is The Rock and Roman Reigns.
But is that? I mean, The Rock's 50.
He's still jacked.
Yeah, but is he?
And he's got familial lineage
with
him.
That's out of my depth. Like I think, like I saw the right ones. They made them all happen.
Yeah.
You know, like they did it.
Yeah, that would be it.
Was there ever one? Is there a modern version of what they did with Hulk and Warrior? What's the modern version of that? That was the biggest one of my youth.
I mean, maybe
it was like really like these two are going to fight. Like we love both these guys. Like.
Or they did babyface. John Cena and The Rock was pretty split. The Rock and Hogan ended up being completely ludicrous in Toronto with that crowd, which was so great. They're talking about doing a WrestleMania in London, which would be, those crowds are nuts. That would be unreal.
H. Snyder, a movie suggestion for Bo. My 8-9-year-olds like Air Force One with Harrison Ford.
Oh,
Fine film.
Good film.
Fine film.
Now that we've popped the seal on
Patriot Games.
Yeah. Now that we've done Die Hard,
yeah,
we can go. You can do Bournes. I can do all sorts.
Clear
of
and Present
now.
Danger.
Yeah, those are great.
The original Mission Impossible.
The original. He and I watched that. He really liked that, and we watched the second one. But those are PG-13, not R.
Yeah.
But he liked both. I'm sure Clear and Present Danger and Air Force One are also PG-13. But he's in the world now. We can.
Is he ready for The Running Man?
I don't think that's going to hold up.
It does hold up.
I watched it a couple years ago when I hadn't seen it, and I watched it, and I understand your affection. I don't know that it holds up as well as the technology part of it.
Man.
No, it's great.
It's
great.
Man.
Isn't Dawson in it? Richard Dawson?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
He's
great.
the host of the show.
It's time to run.
I don't know if it's going to be
Jesse the Body Ventura.
It's basically a Hunger Games type situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I could try it.
Isn't Jim Brown in it?
I think he is.
Bobby time. Rapid fire. Favorite way to watch Favorite way to watch a movie: in bed, on the couch, or in a movie theater? If
it's a great movie, I'd like theater, but I'm an on the couch guy. I'm not an in bed guy.
Couch.
Yeah, couch. Or in my basement on the big screen.
Are you guys gonna you guys?
That's
we
my
all
number
went,
one. Lazy
yeah, I
boy.
love that.
Yes.
We all loved. We all rushed out to see Maverick. Will there be a? Are you as curious about Oppenheimer?
Yes,
I am too.
I would like that. I saw
curious about it, but not
Indiana
the same
Jones
way.
in the theater.
No, they're not even the same vicinity.
It's not gonna be fun.
No, I don't. I think it'll be miserable.
Yeah.
But everybody says it's like the best thing he's ever done, and he's done some of the best stuff.
Yes.
If you could make a rule that everyone on Earth had to follow for one day, what would that rule be? Boy, that's a good question, Bobby.
I would
be nice, be kind,
be on time,
be kind.
I can't stand when people are late. I can't stand it. Be on time. Doctors, in life, kids, all
Airplanes.
of it. Planes. If everyone if everything just came when it was supposed to,
Yeah.
the amount of stress that would be off of me would be.
Well, they can take the
exponentially.
reservation. They can't
But
honor
you can't
the
honor.
Can't honor
That's the part of the reservation.
the reservation.
Anybody can take it.
Anybody can take a reservation, but can you honor it? I'd make one rule that anybody who's doing a radio show for a National Football League team
Yeah. I
has
like
an
it.
on-off cough.
On-off cough. Yep.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's a good one.
God, so many things you could make a rule for. Way to
Yep.
make the dumb one. Which movie villain do you think had a
Sick
valid
burn,
point?
bro. You just absolutely killed me right there. Like, I don't. Can I do the rest of the show? I've
get
just
outta
been
here.
roasted.
You're done. You're
I've
done.
been burned. I'm burned to a
What was
crisp.
the villain question?
Which movie villain do you think had a valid point?
All of them. They typically all come from a place of that they believe that they're right.
That's what I love so much.
Thanos?
What I loved most about Die Hard is Hans just wanted money. He used all the rest of the stuff as cover. It was $680 million in bearer bonds. That's it. He doesn't.
all he wanted.
He,
Yeah.
he remember the Asian Dawn and all that stuff. I watched it on 60 Minutes. Like, he didn't care about any of that. He just wanted the money. That's it. So you're saying a villain who was right?
I mean, Thanos believed he was right, and
I'll give you
He
one.
was noble, but he was bad.
I'm going to give you one.
Who?
Roadhouse. Brad Wesley's right. Who the hell's Dalton to come in and wreck his world?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's running things.
I'm living
it's
my
all
best
smooth.
life.
I'm bringing J.C. Penney to town. I'm driving on both sides of the road. Then this guy comes in, steals my ex-wife in front of me. I got to watch it across the lake.
Hurtful.
Painful. And then just starts coming at me. Like I'm running my operation here.
Yeah.
I love that you worked Roadhouse into this. By
Brad
the way,
Wesley, that's the right one.
what movie do you quote the most often? We got 30 seconds, maybe.
Caddyshack. What about Bob?
Lebowski.
Lebowski.
Lebowski
Austin
gets in
Powers. Austin Powers gets in there quite a
there. They
bit.
used to, yeah. I've certainly the
Borat.
big Swingers. I had the whole before
Swingers,
anybody
yeah.
saw that. That was my whole repertoire.
Yeah, that was your
Basically
whole move.
Stole
That was your move.
Trent's whole operation.
It was a good operation.
It was. So much more to come. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. What's your progress on the PR? The P-rib.
We're good. It's going to be
a
we're
demerit.
no, it's not. Because
You can't
how
tell.
can you know? Because you don't pot it up.
Should be better.
Be better by having
I
something
turned
that
off the mute.
conveys the information to the person
turned
who's
off
on the air.
mute, he says, but there's no way for him to know you did.
30-30.
Unbelievable. We're cooking at 132.5. We got 3 hours and 22 minutes remaining. We're going.
What's
ready to go.
the end temp?
132.5, and then you put it back into the oven. I'll brush it with some ghee, and in the oven at 475, I think, for 10 minutes to get the crust.
There you
And
go,
then-
Chris.
okay.
Then you're
Perfect.
rolling.
All right.
Good
Yep.
job out of you. Enjoy your Thursday, kids. We're back tomorrow. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.